So let's go ahead and connect our connections that we just made, and I just explained, to our view. Now, to do this is quite simple. If you can remember back to MVC, we have, if we want to get some data in a text field, change a label, it wouldn't make sense for the view to ask us, hey, do you have anything you want me to do? Hey, do you have anything you want me to do? When we want to get some information, or we want to tell someone to do something, we ask them, we go to them and ask them. They don't come to us and ask us continuously. So it's the same principle. We want the controller to ask our UI elements to do something, or to give us some data, or to change their value, or whatever. So this is how we make our connections. So we go from our view controller. If you control, click and drag over to our text field, and we can hook up our outlets to the amount property, and we're going to do the same for our labels. So this is going to be our period label, this is going to be our interest label, and finally this is going to be a total payment label. Now with buttons it's the same sort of concept. We want the view to tell us when that button was pressed. So how does that communication work? Well, the view tells us when the button's pressed, so we can do something. So we go backwards, instead of from the view to the UI elements, we could go from the UI element to the view controller. And you can see sent events, and we're gonna click submit to make that connection. Right? Now let's run this, and you'll notice that we get a couple of errors here. We've got period label requires blah 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 blah. We've got heaps of stuff, and you'll notice that we actually get a runtime error. This is because we've declared properties and we said, hey, we're gonna make a getter and setter method, but we haven't told them how to make that getter and setter method. So it's quite simple to do this. All we do is go over to the iBank loan viewcontroller.m, and after the implementation, we have to synthesize our properties. We have to make those methods. We've declared them, we said we're going to have those methods, but we haven't told the computer how to make those methods, and that's involved in the @synthesize. So we're going to synthesize our text field, which is amount, semicolon, synthesize our period label, semicolon, synthesize our interest label, right, and synthesize our total payment label. And if we run this now, you can see that we have just lost our errors. Now let's see if we can actually, and you'll notice that I have one error still, and this is just basically because I declared that method. I can basically get rid of that. Let's do that now. So remember, the header file is the actual declarer of the features, and we declared an IB action, which is just basically a function. And this is just going to be submit, and I'll delete the stuff that's added here. And if I put 2 curly braces, you know, the error will disappear. See? No issues now, because we've created our properties, we've synthesized them, we've made the getter and setter methods, and we've also added a function instructions for when our view sends a message to our controller. We're going to execute whatever's in that statement. So let's test this now. I'm going to change the text of our text field to something, so we can use our properties now. So to do this, all I'm going to type is self dot amount dot text equals, and then I'm going to make a method called NSString, right? And I'm going to make string with format double quotes, and I'm gonna type it worked. Submit was pressed, right? And I'm gonna end that off, and I'm gonna put another semicolon, and let's hope that works. So I'm going to press submit, and you can see that we actually executed that event. So when we click that, the view sent a message to our controller, which then executed this text here, and it said self.amount, which is our property, which has a pointer to the address of our UI text field, and to change that text to a new and a string with a format with it worked, submit was pressed. It's that simple. Maybe a little bit confusing at the moment, but you can see how outlets and IB actions allow us to interact with stuff in iOS. So that's basically it for today's tutorial. I know it was long, but I'll see you in the next tutorial.